Hello everyone and welcome to National Intern Week with Zurich. I'm Suki, I'll be your host for this presentation on behalf of CareermapTV and I'm Megan from Zurich for this session. As we go through the session, please feel free to use the chat box and if you have any questions, please send them across and we'll try to answer them during the presentation and in the Q&A at the end. With that, I'm now going to hand over to Megan and Saffron to get us started.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I can already see a lot of you are saying hello in the chat, which is great. And that's something that I think we're really going to encourage. So feel free to send any messages or anything as we go along this presentation today. And me or Megan will get back to you on your questions or comments. Happy National Intern Week to you all. I think it's great. We've got so many people on the call who are looking to do an internship. I myself did an internship with Zurich, and that's why I'm here today. So I'm Saffron, and I am now a business graduate of the company, but previously I was an intern. And yeah, I guess welcome to the world of insurance to you all. So moving on to the next slide. A lot of you are obviously at university right now. And I think it's like one of those things where there's probably a lot of pressure and a lot of questions you get asked is, what do you want to do? And when you leave uni, where do you think you'll end up? And, you know, it is a lot of pressure. And I felt it myself. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to end up. I was, you know, doing my essays and assignments and getting the grades thinking, you know, time's running out. All I want is a job at the end of the day. And some people do know where they want to end up. And I think if you kind of take a step back and look back to when you were like 5 years old and you don't know what you all wanted to be, maybe you can put it in the chat, but some people wanted to be a doctor or a firefighter or a professional footballer. And I think as we grow up, it's very clear that, you know, you change career and position all the time. And I think one of the things that no one really says at 5 years old, and perhaps, you know, even starting university, is I don't want to work in insurance. Like, insurance is never the thing that comes and springs to mind. And, you know, that's okay. And I think in our industry, a lot of people will say that themselves. But I'm kind of here today to show you that insurance is a really great place to start your career. There is so many, you know, places that you can go from it. I've seen Charlie wanted to be a teacher. And you know what? There's so many skills in being a teacher that you can apply to insurance. And I think this video kind of sums up pretty nicely, just very quickly, how you might even feel today. And definitely what I felt before I did my internship. I'm not sure if the sound's working because it isn't for me. But one of the things that, you know, he says is, whoa, it's such a big question. Whoa, where do you want to end up? And there is a lot of pressure on all of you. And I think just take a step back, because I'm now 24, I'm in insurance, and I think you guys would also love the opportunity that the industry brings. And all of this has come to me because of completing an internship. And I wanted to just share with you on the next slide, hopefully the video will work. This is a video that I did a few weeks after finishing my internship back in summer 2020. Now, when I did my internship, it was virtual because of COVID, and we've kind of changed that now. It's more hybrid in the company. But this is a few weeks before I went back to my final year of uni, and it kind of just explains how I felt about my internship experience.
My name's Saffron, and I've just finished my 10-week business summer internship with Zurich. I was lucky enough to be part of the customer communications team, and Zurich's drive to become a world-class customer-led business was evident. I truly believe all the work I've been involved within will make a significant difference to consumers. Overall, I was given an incredible amount of responsibility. I was able to contribute my own ideas onto projects and to collaborate with other teams within the business. I was even encouraged to take a step outside my comfort zone and present the work I've been doing the past 10 weeks to the UK marketing team. Throughout my internship, I've been fully welcomed and supported by all of Zurich's employees, especially my line manager, the customer communications team, the people team, and my buddy. Networking across Zurich has enabled me to gain a strong understanding of the insurance industry, and I would love to come back as a graduate due to the company's strong focus on innovation and development. I encourage anyone thinking of joining Zurich to do so. Ask questions, bring a fresh perspective, and you too could be helping Zurich's customers protect themselves and the things that they love.
So I think from that video, you can kind of just see that I had a very positive intern experience. And obviously it's now 2022 and I'm back as a graduate. So I did my internship after my second year of university, and then returned back to my third year, and then came back to Zurich again. And I think this is one of the things that really stands out as part of our internship, is kind of the fact that, you know, when you're an intern, we're looking towards you being part of the company for the future, not just for those 10 weeks, but if you fit into the culture and you can see yourself building a career, then Zurich really support you coming back to that. And if we just move on to the next slide, I'll tell you a bit more about my life as an intern. So I truly believe that Zurich really invests a lot of time into kind of, you know, our development as interns. So I think it's very easy to think, you know what, I'm in a company for 10 weeks. What am I going to achieve? What am I going to do from that? And actually, you can do so much and make so much positive change in 10 weeks within our company. So I didn't make coffee. I wasn't doing photocopies. I was getting stuck into real life hands-on projects. I was presenting to senior leadership teams. I mean, a couple of years ago, I would not wanted to present on here to so many people, but you just like build so many skills and confidence. So for me personally, I was on the business scheme and I was in the marketing team as my degrees in marketing. And I was kind of encouraged to step out of my comfort zone. And I think what's really nice as an intern is you will do work that, you know, you can go back to university and you can kind of interlink it. So I just felt that I had more deadlines. For example, I had to turn around something in, I don't know, a week. And there wasn't like a strict deadline. There's not the pressure, like if I don't get this done, you know, it's going to be disastrous. But it's the fact that I learned to cope with different workloads and multitask a bit more. So when I went back to uni in my third year, I think it was really helpful in the sense, you know, the time management, etc., that I had over the 10 weeks. I kind of understood how work-life balance worked in that sense. As I said before, when I did my internship, it was virtual due to COVID, but kind of depending on your team's needs, you can see whether you can do this virtual or hybrid. Most people in our company are now working in hybrid, so we're in the office a few days a week, or we're at home. Today I'm at home. And I think one of the things that really stands out to me about Zurich, and I'm not just saying this because they've told me to say it, they truly do mean it, is the fact that everyone is so friendly. It's a culture where everyone's so supportive, and regardless of what's going on in your life, you can kind of open up and be honest, and everybody is always there to help. So you might think that, you know, sending an email or asking someone really high up in the company if they'll have a chat with you, they might say no, but actually at Zurich, everyone's always willing to help and be open. And, you know, that's something that continues today as a graduate, but as an intern was invaluable, was the fact that, you know, I was in marketing and I thought I want to learn a bit more about claims or underwriting, and I'd reach out to their teams and I'd be able to have a chat with them for an hour just about their role, and they didn't mind at all. And I think one of the things about Zurich is we have so many networks and different cultures. So, you know, we have our D&I network and the pride and the cultural awareness, and everybody is always looking for ways to like support you and what you care about. So whether it's sustainability, I have another grad who is really passionate about sustainability, and she gets heavily involved in so much work to do with that. So it's really about finding where you fit. But I think there's a culture that can be tailored to whoever, but it's one that is super friendly. When you're on the internship, obviously you're coming from university, and you might need some support, and that's absolutely normal. And you know, you would never be expected to join Zurich and be just left to your own devices. You do have a lot of support. So you'll have your line manager that would be part of your team. You have the people team such as Megan, who were always there to kind of respond to and like reach out to if you need any help. I think one of the great things about the internship is you do integrate with the graduates a lot. So for example, when I was on the internship, I had a buddy who was a graduate, and she really supported me. And we just kept that conversation going. So when I returned to the company, it was someone I already knew. And I myself this year, I was a buddy for an intern. So it's really nice to kind of be able to engage with the interns, because we've been through the experience. You know, I know it's so stressful applying to internships when you're trying to get stuff done for university. Like, how do you balance all this work? And we kind of really do understand it from your point of view. And a lot of the things that we do at Zurich as well is like, there's always social opportunities. So even when it was virtual, as you can see, I dressed up because we were doing like a virtual murder mystery event with my team. We did some origami sessions as part of the intern project as well. And now, for example, the interns that just been with us, we did like an escape room with them, and we also did a quiz. So we're always looking for ways to kind of integrate you when it's not just, you know, your work life, but we want you to feel part of Zurich and the culture. During the internship, every intern, regardless of scheme, there's 5 schemes, which I will go through, will work on an intern project over a 10-week period. And this is great because you kind of get to meet so many people from different degrees, and also like what their skill sets are. And it's a great chance to kind of work with like-minded individuals. So I'm guessing everyone in this call is a very proactive person. You're joining this call, you want an internship. And although people at university are doing a degree, they might not be as active in group projects, etc. And I feel like when you come and do this intern project at Zurich, it's really nice to see, do you know what, in a working environment, what a day-to-day would be. And it's great in the sense the project is always tailored to a business need. So we aren't doing this project just because you're interns and, you know, we need to fill the time and do 10 weeks work or something. We're doing it because the business needs it to be done, and we want you to make a positive difference. So when I was on my project, one of the things I was looking at with my group and cohort was the impacts of COVID-19 on travel insurance. So obviously when I joined, it was COVID, it literally just hit. Wasn't even sure if the internship was going to happen originally, but luckily Zurich, you know, came in and sorted it out for us, which was amazing. And yeah, we basically did all this research and gave it to personal lines in the travel insurance side of the business. And I know for a fact, coming back as a graduate, that it's made a difference, because I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, by the way, when you were an intern, I remember you were part of this project and we've taken this from the survey that you've produced. So I promise you, at the time you might think, why am I doing this? Is it going to help the business? But it definitely does. This year's interns, we're creating a sustainability toolkit for our community trust partners. And this toolkit is now going to be given out to ZCT, to all of our charities that we kind of look after within that side of the business. And this is going to allow those charities to like develop their practices from an economical, social and environmental viewpoint. So everything that you do as an intern really makes a lasting impact, and I can actually assure you that that will happen. And I've come back, as I said, as a graduate, and I've had people, you know, I put in meetings or sent over something to be signed off, and they'll be like, oh, like I remember you from like a year and a half ago, and you kind of think, I was only here for 10 weeks, but I think it really does show that Zurich invests heavily into interns, and what you put in, you will get out of the internship. And all of your work, your attitude means you're remembered. And I think completing an internship is basically seen as a step forward into your future career with us. And that's why we have 89% of the 2022 interns we've just had coming back to us, you know, as graduates next year, because we are, you know, we're providing that level of challenge, but we're also supporting all of our interns. And equally on the graduate scheme, you're also heavily supported. So as I've said, I was in a marketing role, but on the next slide, I just want to share a video from Laura, who was on the scheme with me, and she was in the claims team, just to give you a bit of an insight into a different area.
My name is Laura Martin, and I've just finished a 10-week internship at Zurich in the business stream. The internship was adapted to be virtual due to the pandemic, yet there was still lots of opportunities to network and lots of virtual events organised, whereby I learned a lot about Zurich as a business. Zurich as a brand really impressed me, as it's very inclusive and it has a culture which is very friendly and welcoming, which particularly appealed to me. I was placed in claims, and I found it surprising just how quickly I could pick up a strong knowledge of this area, as I had no prior knowledge of claims or insurance more widely, so I definitely learned a lot. I would say to anyone who was thinking about joining Zurich to definitely go for it, because you learn so much, meet so many great people, and it will be an experience that you definitely grow from.
I think there's a really key point and message in that presentation, in the fact that Laura says she didn't know much about insurance. And that's something that I definitely want to kind of promote to you all as well. I did not know anything about insurance, and I was kind of panicking a bit, like, should I apply? Should I not? Like, I don't know anything about insurance. But when you're on the internship, that is, if you know about insurance, that's great. That's a bonus, but you don't need to know the depths of insurance. That's what you're there as an intern and graduate to do. I've been here for a year and I'm completing exams in insurance, and I'm still, you know, learning. And there's people that will say the same who have been here for 10 years. It's such a wide and broad industry that you can't learn everything in 10 weeks, and that's okay, and you're not expected to. And I've seen, like, a few of you have asked
I think we're having some technical issues there, guys. I'm so sorry about that. Let's just give it a second to see if Megan can reconnect with us. She is back in the room, but unfortunately we can't hear her. Megan, would you be happy to take over for a few minutes while Saffron joins us in the call? I'm so sorry about this, guys. It wouldn't be a virtual call if we didn't have any technical issues there.
Sorry about that. I think I'm back now. So just to refresh what I was saying there, apologies everyone, is the fact, you know, you can work in a team and they know you coming in and you don't know that much about insurance. So please don't let that put you off applying. It's definitely another reason as to why you should apply. You know, you need to learn about new industries and kind of challenge yourself. So if we move to the next slide, we do have 5 different streams, as I said beforehand, and you kind of do have to apply to each of these streams for a project. So, each project, for the intern project, you'll come together, but you'll be in separate streams depending on what you think is best suit you. So we have 5 different streams, which is business, finance, change in tech, data analytics, and the actual scheme. So I was in the business scheme and I was placed into marketing. And I think this was kind of done because I have a marketing degree. Laura, as you've just seen, was in claims, but we have some people in underwriting, in HR. Like, our business is so vast that you'll go anywhere. And when you come back as a graduate, and if you went onto the business scheme, we do rotate around the business. So this is what kind of gives you a 10-week insight into that kind of area. But regardless of what team you end up in, you know, you can reach out and gain some more opportunities. In terms of the finance scheme, you're focusing on financial reporting, managing accounts, and expense analysis. And there's also the option to look into, like, business partnering. The change in tech scheme really looks into working as, like, project management. I think for me personally, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, I need coding experience. But having spoke to the graduates in that department, it's more, you know, how to manage IT projects and solve solutions. So definitely don't let that put you off if you don't have coding experience. And then, for example, data analytics, that's a bit more of a deep dive into the coding side of things, and data science and engineering. And the actual side of the scheme could be life or general insurance. And it's all about identifying, analysing and quantifying our financial risks and its consequences. So I've seen into the chat that you've asked, if you don't like the area you're in, could you move? And I think that's definitely something, you know, if you went into an area and you felt like for 2 weeks you weren't really enjoying it, you knew it wasn't where you wanted to be, it's definitely a conversation that you could bring up with Megan and the team. They're not going to make you stay in a place that, like, you don't feel that's benefiting you. I don't think we've had any interns that have been in that situation, but of course, you know, the company is very open and you can speak to anyone, whether that be your buddy and line manager, and don't worry about where you get placed, because if it's not where you want to be, that's something you can definitely look into for sure. And I think just in general, all of these schemes is great when you come together on the intern project. So for me personally, I met a great friend from the change in tech side of the business. She was an intern there. We're now both graduates. And when I was doing my first rotation, we ended up living together. So it's actually surreal how great like friendships can be formed in just 10 weeks. And I've got some pictures on here just to show you a bit more about my scheme. So the first picture, that's just when I finally got to meet my team for the first time, really, after I've done the internship. And the one below is, as I mentioned before, Zurich Community Trust. We do a lot of work with them, and that's kind of our charity partner. And if you joined, you get a lot more about it, but there is stuff on our website. But as an intern, you can get heavily involved in that. So one of the things I've done is Climbing O2. We have like a lot of stuff going on at the minute. I'm part of like a Strictly Come Dancing sweepstake, and we always encourage you to get involved in this. Just because you're with us for 10 weeks, you know, doesn't mean that you can't get more involved. Now I'm conscious I've talked a bit more from a business perspective. So on the next slide, I just wanted to give you kind of just hear from Miles, who is now back as a grad, but he was on the actual intern scheme, and he's now working in life as an actuary as well.
My internship at Zurich, and part of this is because the work I was doing was very interesting, engaging, and challenging, but mainly because of the people I was working with. Everyone was very friendly and went out of their way to help me fit in. I was willing to just stop and answer questions. Probably the greatest surprise, looking back from when I went in, was how relevant the work I've been doing has been to the company. So it isn't just work created for the internship. It is genuinely, I feel, I genuinely contributed to the company in as if I'd been a long-term worker there, which I think feels very satisfying, both day to day and in the internship project.
So hopefully from myself and from the others that you've had from Laura and Miles, you kind of can see that, you know, the internship is definitely something you should apply to. So if we just go to the next slide, we're just going to give you a bit of a brief overview on, you know, what the different stages of the process. So as I said before, despite like not knowing much about insurance, but there's a looming threat of like global recession, continuing fallout from Russia invading Ukraine, and lingering COVID-19 concerns. Like in the insurance industry's growth and stability has remained very strong. And coming out of university is a very stable career path. And I think there's lots of opportunities when it comes to your individual growth and widening your personal skill set. And because the insurance offers so many of these roles, you can kind of tailor your career to your own interests. You can manage teams if you want, or you can work on projects. But regardless of your level of skill, insurance can fit around your ambitions. I've seen in the chat, Freya, you've asked what was the most challenging part of my internship. And I think it was the group project, because you have people from so many different areas and we're all so passionate and keen to get our point across because we all wanted to come back as graduates. And I think it was such a small period of time to get a project done, and we were very conscious, you know, this is our time to show them what we can do because we wanted to come back so badly. But it was something that we just worked out. We got into smaller groups, and I feel like it is a challenge because you actually are working on an area the business needs you to work on. So, you know, everything that you're doing, you know, is going to make an impact. And I think that adds a bit more pressure. But in terms of our application process, we have 4 stages until you would hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to get an offer with us and come back. So our first stage is the online application. So this is all about being honest. It's just about checking your eligibility to like join the program. So which university do you go to? What is your predicted grade? And it really is just very simple filling out form, but please be honest in this stage. That's basically the only tip I have for that. And then moving on, we have an online assessment center, which I'm sure some of you would have probably done before. It's really about, you know, kind of your strengths and for me personally, I would just go with your instinct. You know, we're trying to see if you fit into the culture, but equally it's your chance to see whether you fit into our culture at Zurich. So, you know, go with your strengths, and it doesn't, don't think in your head, you know what would they want me to write? What would they want me to do? It's about what you would do. And that's definitely something I promote. Just go with your gut for these kind of questions. But at the same time, you'll be introduced to the type of work that myself or you'll be doing as an intern. So it's really just a chance to see like what we can offer. And then if you're successful in this stage, you'll move across to the job stimulation and video interview. Now, I know everybody's probably panicking. Video interviews, the absolute like panic moment. And it's the part that most people usually dread, but you know, you're at the stage where, you know, if you get this through, you go into like the last round. And it's kind of like a realistic digital stimulation on our behalf of the different scenarios that you go through during the internship. And we just want to see how you would respond to these. So you might be writing these down, or you might be doing a video. And I feel like just coming into this, just be authentic, just be yourself. You know, you don't need to like put on an act or anything. It's just, we want to see the real you at the end of the day. And I think if you stumble on speech or have a moment of panic or have tech issues, which we've experienced today, and inside I was like, don't panic too much. Just take a deep breath, try and sort out the issue, and, you know, come back to it. Because as a recruiter, like I know friends who've shut down the laptop, but you've come so far in the process already. So just take a moment to breathe and pick yourself up. And I think just try and focus your answers using the STAR technique, which I'm sure a lot of you heard of, but situation, task, action, and result. Keep it concise and keep it to the point. And yeah, just be you, and I'm sure you'll all do great. And then lastly is our like final assessment stage. And once again, just be yourself in this process. So this is slightly tailored depending on what you're doing. For me personally, I had to do like a group task and a presentation. But all of these things, if you have any questions about them, of course, you can reach out and we are happy to answer. We have applications open now for the 2023 interns. I put 2022 there, apologies. It's 2023. We've got our internships open. We'd love you all to apply. They do close on the 30th of October, but I would just recommend getting your applications in as early as possible, because you know what, we want you to come and join us. And I would just like to lastly kind of bring around a video, which once again I'm in, but it just basically shows how us graduates of Zurich feel, and a lot of us were interns in the company as well. So I think it's just important to like kind of show from everyone that we really do love working at Zurich.
Oh, I think there's loads of benefits. From different streams, so you've got finance, change in tech, all of the other wonderful things that Zurich do. For me, it was also just about wanting to make that difference. I think it's somewhere where I kind of have had those opportunities. I felt I needed to go somewhere where there's a lot of opportunities, so I could kind of like tailor my own route and my own development. And I felt that looking at the grad scheme in Zurich, I really felt I could do that myself.
A genuinely friendly place, not just kind of workplace friendships, but actual proper friendships as well. So it's been absolutely brilliant from that point of view. So it's really good. So you have on the grad scheme, you have your kind of your grad manager, and then you have your manager for the different rotations, and then you've got obviously your network around you, so the other grads and everything like that. And it's also kind of events that kind of link you up even to like the interns and apprentices. There's a real like big array of network, and different people can go to different things.
The insurance industry does have like a breadth of roles that you can join and be part of.
Insurance isn't what I perceive it to be at all.
A lot more exciting than I initially thought.
In terms of for a career, I think there's so much opportunity in insurance, and it's so varied. You wouldn't think of all sort of different aspects you get in insurance. There's not just the claims handling and underwriting. I mean, the job I'm doing now, I didn't even know that existed before I started at Zurich. It just shows that there's so many different doors that can open once you get into a company like this.
Global.
Flexible, inclusive, innovation, passionate,
Transparent.
passion,
Flexible, empowering,
Fun.
caring, ambitious,
professional,
Flexible.
sustainable, welcoming,
friendly.
friendly.
Good.
You'll get there in the end, so stick with it. Fingers crossed.
So just finally to point out, I think Megan's mentioned it in the chat, but we do have a prep hub on our online site. So you can kind of, if you go into like our internship page, it's all on there. We give you some more hints and tips. There's a practice kind of assessment center to run through just to give you some practice before you apply. And if we just go to the next slide, I will just point out, if you go onto the QR code and you do have LinkedIn, that's my LinkedIn. So at any point, if you're applying to the internship, if you maybe apply for our grad scheme, then please feel free to give me a shout on LinkedIn and I'm more than happy to help you. And if you're thinking about going into a scheme that isn't business and you want to talk to someone in another area, whether that be change in tech, actual, then I have friends in the grad scheme. I can kind of point you in their direction. They'll be able to ask you some more questions. So I guess thank you everyone for listening. And if anyone has any questions, if you wanted to either, I don't know, you can shout out or put them in the chat, then I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Saffron, for sharing all that invaluable information with us. And just said, yes, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we've got plenty of time to answer them. I think I actually had a question for you, Saffron. Applies, gets accepted. What would be your one piece of advice that you would give them, like once they're starting their journey with Zurich?
I think the piece of advice I'd give you is just to kind of go out there, push yourself out your comfort zone. You might be someone who thinks you know what you want to do, for example, but you need to go and speak to other teams, go and speak to other people. I think insurance in itself, but Zurich especially, we have so many different departments, places that you heard on a few of those videos, people didn't even know about the job before when they were at university. So I think you have 10 weeks, talk to as many people as you can in the company. And it might seem a bit daunting, it might seem a bit long, is it really worth it? But some of the conversations that you have are really invaluable. And even now as a graduate, when I've been there a year, I think, I had a conversation last week and it just stood out to me. And I was like, this is an area that I'd love to explore more. And I think it's definitely your chance to go out there. And I know Zurich is a place where you can reach out to anyone, even people such as our CEO, and he's happy to talk to you. So it's not one of those places where you need to feel worried about reaching out to people.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I think Megan's done such a good job of answering all the questions that have come through during the session that nobody has any questions left to ask. But I just want to, just thank everyone for attending, and hopefully you've gained some valuable insights into Zurich and all the opportunities that are available. And just say good luck to everyone who is applying, fingers crossed all the way, and do start your journey with Zurich. So we'll just, is there anything else you want to add, Saffron or Megan?
Yeah, I think just get applying, reach out to us. If you do join the company as an intern, definitely try and find me on Teams and message me. I'd love to hear that you come in. And you know what, just be confident in yourself, and it's hard getting an internship, but don't let it get you down as well.
Okay, thank you. I do have a question from Kim. What do all interns have in common with each other? I think maybe she means like personality traits, characteristics.
I think from my experience and also from witnessing, and being involved quite heavily with the interns that just been, is we all just really care about our career, and we all want to develop, and we want to be in a place we can kind of see ourselves growing up in a company, I guess. And we're just very, with our workload, we're quite passionate. And I think if you aren't, it doesn't really matter if you aren't sure where you want to go. To be honest, I don't know where I want to end up in the company right now. There's people who do, but we all kind of collaborate in the sense, we have drive. And I definitely think if you're on this call, you'd definitely be one of those people as well. So that would kind of be my advice from that point of view. Yeah, just that's what we have in common, but also there's so many things that separate us and do us apart. It's not like Zurich is looking for one thing and that's what they take as an intern. So, you know, it's multiple things.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully Kim has our answer to her question. I think, unless anybody else has any questions, it might be a good time to wrap up. I know we're finishing early, but I did such a good job of answering all the questions. For anyone who can't use a QR code, or it won't scan for them, do we have a link available in the chat?
Just posted a link in the chat. So feel free to connect with me and I can kind of point you. If I can't help, I'll try and point you in the direction of someone who can, basically.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Saffron. And I think we might bring that the session to an end now then. So much valuable information. Thank you again for everyone who attended. Hopefully you've learned quite a lot. And again, good luck. Saffron, any last words?
Thank you everyone for joining. Happy National Intern Week. And yeah, have a great Friday.
All right. Bye everyone.